Welcome back to Chagpar MD. I'm Dr. Anise Chagpar. We've been talking about healthy habits and how to lose weight or maintain your weight loss. And so many people ask the question of, how exactly do I do that? What's the best diet for me? Should I be doing low fat or is it low carb? What about keto? And what exactly is a macro anyways when we talk about IIFYM, if it fits in your macros? How do I calculate how many carbohydrates I need and how much protein I need and how much fat I should really be consuming? What exactly is TDEE, or my total daily energy expenditure, and how do I figure that out? Well, if you're confused about all of these questions, you've come to the right place. I hope in this video to answer all of those questions and to really help you to kickstart your weight loss. So what do you say? Let's get started. I hope to answer all of your questions in this video about the different types of diets and what might be the best for you. But I'm going to shoot to the short answer first. The best diet for you is whatever works for you. Like many things in medicine and health, it really does take a personalized approach, and every person's different. So whereas a low-fat diet might work for your best friend and a low-carb diet might work for your neighbor, neither of those might be right for you. You really need to see what is going to work for your particular metabolism, your particular lifestyle. Remembering always that it really needs to be sustainable. But let's break down some of the differences between the different types of routines. Remember that weight loss is all about calories. Calories in and calories out. Now, when we talk about calories, they really come from three main categories, what we call macronutrients. Many abbreviate this as macros. So we have carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Now, carbohydrates give us about 4 calories per gram, fat about 9 calories per gram, and protein 4 calories per gram. Remember, calories are that unit of energy. So all of these sources of food give us energy. And the amount of energy that they give us per gram varies depending on whether it's a carbohydrate, fat, or protein. So now, if we're thinking about weight loss, it's all about calories. How do we restrict those calories? Well, you can either reduce carbohydrate, reduce fat, or reduce protein, because that's where the calories come from. So when we think about different modalities, some people like low carbohydrate diets. Many of these are also keto. So they reduce the carbohydrates, increasing fat and protein. Others like low fat. So this is lower in fat, but it may be higher in carbohydrates and protein. IIFYM is if it fits in your macros. And this is a plan which really says this. Calculate what your lean body mass is. Then give yourself 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of protein, 0.25 to 0.4 grams per pound of fat, and make up the rest of your calories from carbohydrates based on your calorie goal. Now, I know that that can seem really confusing, but stay tuned because we're going to talk about how you calculate all of this as we go along. Now, remember, it's not just about the number of calories. It's about the type of calories. And while it's true, you can lose weight on the Twinkie diet, and people have done that, it's not really healthy. So remember, you don't want to cut carbs or fats or proteins completely. Each of these has important goals, important jobs in terms of our physiology. But what you do want to do is think about the nutrient value in the food that you eat as well. So good carbs are fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Bad carbs, simple sugars. When we think about fats, healthy fats are things like avocado, nuts, fatty fish, oils, seeds like chia and flax. But you want to avoid unhealthy fats like saturated fats or trans fats. These are known to really cause cardiac issues and aren't very good for our overall health. So even if we think about the fact that we're going to eat healthy carbs and healthy fats, we also have to remember the number of calories as well. Protein, we really want to focus on lean proteins. So fish, chicken, lean meats, egg whites. But remember, just because many proteins come from animal sources, there are many great sources of proteins for people who are adopting a more vegetarian or vegan-like lifestyle. So beans and legumes, nuts, quinoa, Greek yogurt, protein shakes are also great sources of protein. But again, it's not just about what we eat, it's also about how much we eat and making sure that those calories are within a goal. So how do we calculate where those calories should come from? How much should come from fat? How much should come from protein? How much should come from carbohydrates? In general, we recommend that about 40% of your calories come from carbohydrates, 30 to 35% from protein, and 20 to 25% from fat. So if you're following something that's a low-fat diet, you may want to reduce that proportion of fat calories. If you're following a low-carb diet, you may want to reduce the proportion of carbs. Either way, you want to reduce your overall calories. So that's where some of the math that plays into IIFYM comes in. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below that'll tell you where you can find an automatic calculator. But if you want to actually do the math, here's some numbers to keep in mind. First is your basal metabolic rate. That's the number of calories that you need just to exist. So your body needs a certain number of calories to wake up in the morning, to keep your heart pumping, to make sure that your lungs are breathing in and out. So these are the number of calories just for your routine bodily functions. And I've written the equations for both men and women on this slide. So for example, if you're a 48-year-old woman, you're 5'2", and you weigh 120 pounds, you can do the math. So you follow the pink formula, 655 plus 4.35 times your weight in pounds, plus 4.7 times your height in inches, minus 4.7 times your age, and that gives you the basic number of calories that you need just to exist. But most of us do more than just existing. We have some activity in our lives. Even if we're sedentary and we sit most of the time, we still walk around a little bit, or maybe we have some light activity. We exercise 1 or 2 times a week. Moderate activity, maybe 3 to 4 times. Maybe we're very active and we're exercising at least 5 times a week, or we're extremely active. Now, depending on our activity level, we need more or less calories, because in order to fuel that activity, that needs to up our calories. So what do we do to calculate our TDEE? That's our total daily energy expenditure. We multiply our BMR that we found in the last slide by a given number, depending on our activity level. So let's say in our example, this woman is lightly active. She exercises 1 or 2 times a week. So we would take our BMR and multiply it by 1.375. Great. So now we have a TDEE. If we want to lose weight, you want to reduce that by 15 to 25%. So we're looking at somewhere between 1281 and 1452 calories per day. And most people recommend that you never go below 1,200 calories a day. So this is the number, no matter what routine you're going to follow, whether you're going to do low carb or low fat or IIFYM, that you're really going to target in terms of your calories. Then, in terms of how you distribute those calories, that's where all of these vary a little bit. So let's get into more of the weeds of how IIFYM would work things out from here. The next question they ask is, how much is lean body mass? Well, your lean body mass isn't exactly your body weight. It's your body weight minus your percentage of body fat. Well, how do you figure that out? So there are a number of ways that you can estimate your percent body fat. None of them are perfect. Some people have a bioimpedance bathroom scale. Some people will have caliper measurements done of their fat. Probably the most accurate is to get a DEXA scan, but you can even get a rough idea of your percent body fat simply by eyeballing it. We're going to have an upcoming video talking about how to estimate your percent body fat. But until that time, let's just say that she figures that her percent body fat is 28%. So that means that 72% is what we would calculate for lean body mass. So that gives us 86.4 pounds. Now, in IIFYM, what we would do is we would take that 84 pounds and multiply it by 0.7 to 1 gram per pound for protein. So that gives us 60 to 85 grams of protein. And if we remember, protein is 4 calories per gram, that's about 240 to 340 calories. Similarly for fat, we would multiply our 86 pounds of lean body mass by 0.25 to 0.4 grams per pound. That gives us 22 to 34 grams of fat. Remembering fat is 9 calories per gram. That gives us 198 to 306 calories. I know, a lot of math. If we then go back to our TDEE, so we know our calorie range, and let's say we're going to aim somewhere in the middle, 1,300 calories a day. We take around 340 calories, let's say, from protein, around 200 calories from fat. That leaves the rest from carbohydrate at 760 calories a day, which, if we remember, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates, we can figure that we get the pie chart as shown here, which has about 58% from carbohydrates, 15% from fat, and the rest from protein. So you can see how this is a little bit different than what we would start with in the general frame that we talked about before. So I know that all of these are different: low carb, low fat, keto, IIFYM. Here's the ticket. For any given person, the best diet for you is what works for you. If you're the kind of person who really hates eating protein and you're not that much into fat, you might not want to do a low carb diet where the majority of your calories are coming from protein and fat. On the other hand, if you really love protein and you love fat, but you could live without the carbs, it might be better to do a low carb diet. Some people just want to try IIFYM, which is a great way to go as well. So remember, the best diet that will work for weight loss for you is whatever works for you and what's sustainable. And the only person who's going to be able to answer that question is you. Now, as we go along, I'll be giving you tips and tricks that you can apply no matter what weight loss program you use, or even if you just want some healthy tips to maintain an ideal body weight. I hope you'll continue to stay with us. So please subscribe. If you liked this video, like and share it with your friends. And give us some tips as to other things that you'd like to see covered in subsequent videos in the chat box below. I look forward to seeing you next week. Until next time, this is Dr. Anise Chagpar. Have a healthy and safe week.